Got it. Let me take this out. See. Open this up. That's set up.
We set to go. Hello and welcome to another week of the Lost Confederacy channel. This is week 9 of the 13-week fiscal program for recovery of American prisoners of war. Today you have myself, Chief Biko, as always, Chief Quietwater, and Chief Alligator. And here, as always, we focus more so on that first letter in the acronym APOW, which is American. Today we will go ahead and have Chief Alligator start us off with the American invention.
Okay. Before I get into that American inventor, I definitely want to give you a shout out for your presentation that you did last night. You did a presentation on the Indigenous One channel in reference to the freedmen, who are the freedmen or who were the freedmen, and you did a great presentation on making those documents come alive. That's what we do every Sunday. Is we take the boring and we make it come alive. You did a great you stunted on that shit last night, man. You cited to it and you did your thing. I also want to give Chief Quietwater her flowers, as this is the last Sunday in our month. She took it upon herself to give us a daily Dr. Carter G. Woodson quote throughout this entire month. So we do have 2 more days left in this month, but this will be the last Sunday of our month. And we can look back and we can see we've done more than the quote unquote organizations that's supposed to represent us have done.
Yeah.
We're more aware of our history on this land than our Black Congressional Caucus, Congress, White House, and the fake 5 civilized tribes. We challenge any and all Europeans that think that they have information contrary to the belief to welcome us to an intellectual warfare session. But you got to come with proof of claim. You got to study to show yourself approved. We're not tongue wrestling with you. We're not going back and forth with you. If you don't have documents, sit down, shut up, Indian style, listen and learn. I'm gonna pass it on to y'all.
Yeah, and we are definitely finishing up the 1964 Civil Rights Act, and I think that it's just an eye-opener for a lot of people. We're just opening a lot more and more people eyes in regards to the language that's included, and to realize that we were not a part, never was intended to be a part of most of the documents that we have read up to this point. So just thank everyone who has been listening up to this point.
Yeah, and I second that. Definitely second that. Definitely going to show a video at the end of this live, at the end of the live or stream today. Just another indicator of the propaganda or the proclamation, whatever you want to call it, the announcement that the presidents or whoever is making that announcement will say. They'll mention us in the media, in the propaganda, but again, those documents tell a different story. So again, that's all we're highlighting at this time. So, you know, we'll get straight into the 1964 again, after we again honor one of the inventors, and of course the Dr. Woodson quotes and our legal definitions. But yeah, we're almost finished through this document, so we're gonna keep again trekking through this timeline until we see where we actually come up within this American history.
Really quick, we are live on YouTube? Okay, okay, it is live. Okay, gotcha. Mine must be delayed here. Okay.
All right, so today's inventor, bear with me 1 second.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
It may take a second for it to pull up. I got a couple of tabs open. Probably should have cleared my cache before we went live. But we're going to do Mr. Logkrum Blue. And his first name is spelled Logkrum.
Okay.
And his last name is Blue. His last name is Blue like the color. It may take a second for it to pull up. Uh-oh.
Got a couple of tabs open. Probably should have cleared my cache.
Hold on
before
one
we
second,
went
y'all. We
live.
got a little
But
feedback.
we're going to do Mr. Logkrum Blue, and his first name is spelled L-O-G.
Hold on, let me get it right.
R-U-M.
I think it's
And his last
the actual stream. Just got to mute that YouTube stream.
You said the YouTube stream?
Yeah, just mute it. I turned the volume off of it.
All right, hold on one second.
Uh-oh, got a couple of tabs open.
Okay. We good?
Good to go.
Okay, my bad. Yeah, I had a little back feed going on. Okay. So Mr. Logkrum Blue, he's of Washington, D.C. The federal patent number is going to be 298937. And that was May 20th, 1884. And he invented the hand corn shelling device. So I'm going to open this up. It's over a little bit, and they actually gave us some love and showed an image of this American.
That's the first time right there.
Yeah, what I want to do is kind of zoom in a little bit more. Okay. So this device allows for effectually and rapidly removing corn from grain. So if you look at the cursor, where my cursor is pointed, you can see that there's a device with 3 screws through it that are attached to this bench right here. And the edge of the device is sticking off of the bench. And you see he has another tool in his hand. So what you do is you would put the wheat up against this blade right here. And I'm going to scroll down to figure 2. This is the blade part right here, which will separate the good wheat from the bad wheat. And you can see the screws in it where you can affix it to a stable working area, which is in this case, a bench that he's sitting on. And he also has the additional device, which also is a blade, which you would use to shell. So for those of us that have been to the country or seen our mothers when we were young, shelling corn, shelling peas, we now know who even came up with the whole idea of shelling. Once again, it's an American, and his name is Mr. Logkrum Blue. And we do not receive a percentage of income from this device that the world has benefited from. But this is another invention that we have claim to, and further proof that we are the American, and we still waiting on those Asian looking people in the fake 5 civilized tribes to show us what they've done if they are the American. Any questions, any comments?
Just another
Good
simple
information.
Yeah, good information. Just another simple device that just makes life easier.
Yeah, exactly.
Problem solvers, man. That's what I say. All right, I'll go ahead and jump into this week's Dr. Woodson quote. And for this week, I think I'm going to go with quote number 1. Go ahead and make this a little bigger for you all. And quote number 1 reads, "Philosophers have long conceded, however, that every man has 2 educators, that which is given, and the other, that which he gives himself. Of the 2 kinds, the latter is by far more desirable." Definitely wanted to highlight this particular quote today. Just going back, like you stated earlier, just going on to the Indigenous Ones channel, as well as Aboriginal TV's channel. And then just debunking the narratives and the lies that have been told to us, not only through school, but also from those highly schooled, aka highly indoctrinated members of our group that continue to reiterate the same lies from generation to generation, all because, again, they've been indoctrinated into these or into believing these stories. Again, whether it be the 40 acres and a mule, whether it be that we are the freedmen, so forth and so on, right? And all of that comes from actually just, again, being taught their history instead of our story. So again, us 3 can pretty much relate to this, can identify with this quote, because we've all taken the time to show ourselves approved, as you would say, Chief Alligator, and actually do the work, study, actually read these documents, not only us on the panel here, but also the ones in the chat. You know, you all have taken the time out your Sunday to go ahead and say, let's go ahead and read through these documents as well.
Right.
We're all learning this information, and we're all better off for it because we're seeing in these documents that, again, school or teachers will teach us that, yeah, these civil rights acts apply to us, but again, we have not seen anything specific to our group. So I definitely think this is a very important quote from Dr. Carter G. Woodson. I'll let y'all build on that.
I definitely agree. And I think that we just have to wake up even more and realize, even with them actively trying to remove even more history out of the schools, you know, we have to take a stand for our children, because what is this going to look like 20 years from now? What is this narrative going to be 15, 20 years from now, when these children are then adults? You know, so it's like we're at the point now where we really have no choice but to take a stand, you know, and provide this real information to everybody that we possibly can.
Yeah, I agree with all of y'all. And more importantly than us on this channel, it's definitely everybody that decided to follow along with us as we drop these nuggets or these little breadcrumbs so we can get out of the forest. I forgot the fairy tale we used to listen to when we were coming up, Chief Quietwater, in school. What was that story about the person that left the breadcrumbs to get them out of the woods?
I'm not too sure about that one.
I think that's Hansel and Gretel or something.
Okay, okay. So that's
Okay.
pretty much what we're doing. We're just, you know, taking the time to make these documents come alive, reading them for ourselves, not letting the propaganda machine called the TV, which is actually programming, dictate to us what actually happened. And it's going to be a slow process for us to recover, to actually read for ourselves. As Dr. Carter G. Woodson said almost 100 years ago, we all have been told and orated to through school. It's another thing to actually pick up the document, get your highlighter, get your pencil, and work it yourself, and use your own life experiences and look at the documents and really make them come alive and understand what's going on. So shout out to everybody that's following along, because you will be the people in your family that are going to be the contrarians to go against the narrative that all of us have been programmed to believe in.
And I would like to say too, just going through a lot of those Dr. Carter G. Woodson quotes as I was doing this. I know that we have the 1213 that we do, I think, but just going through and trying to pick other ones throughout the month, it just blows my mind that what he's talking about over 100 years ago is 100% relative today. Like that's a scary thing. So that was one of the things that I noticed that opened my eyes, like, yeah, we got to do something.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And yeah, we'll definitely be highlighting that after we go ahead and get through with this document. I'll go ahead and have you read off the legal definitions there, Chief Quietwater, as well as the maroon historical points.
All right. Okay, so the legal definitions, number 1, American, indigenous to America. Number 2, descendants, one who follows in the bloodline of an ancestor, either lineally or collaterally. Number 3, slavery, a situation in which one person has absolute power over the life, fortune, and liberty of another. Number 4, prisoner of war, a person, usually a soldier, who is captured by or surrenders to the enemy in wartime. Number 5, school, any institution at which instruction is given in a particular discipline. Number 6, education and enlightening experience. And number 7, recovery, a return to a normal state of health, mind, or strength, the action or process of regaining possession of something stolen or lost. All right, maroon historical points. Number 1 was a person escaping slavery, seeking freedom, or breaking the law. Number 2, providing unity and a strong defense came first. Can you scroll up? Okay, number 3, Maroon leaders were first and foremost military figures. Number 4, Maroons established guerrilla warfare, planting sharp sticks in thick grass. And then number 5, Maroons knew their European enemies' language, defenses, and plans.
Let's start sharing. Let's go ahead and jump straight into it. You know, last time we left off on the document, we're at Title 9 at the bottom of this page here. So I'll go ahead and start us off. Is it clear for everybody? Now, let me see if I can make it a little bigger. Back out just a tad bit. All right, so Title 9, intervention and procedure at the removal in civil rights cases. So we have Section 901, Title 28 of the United States Code, Section 1447D is amended to read as follows: an order remanding a case to the state court from which it was removed is not reviewable on appeal or otherwise, except that an order remanding a case to the state court from which it was removed pursuant to Section 1443 of this title shall be reviewable by appeal or otherwise. Section 902, whenever an action has been commenced in any court of the United States seeking relief from the denial of equal protection of the laws under the 14th Amendment of the Constitution on account of race, color, religion, or national origin, the Attorney General, in the name of the United States, may intervene in such action upon timely application if the Attorney General certifies that the case is of general public importance. In such action, the United States shall be entitled to the same relief as if it had instituted the action. So again, just showing some procedures here. Looks like appeal procedures. And again, looks like the Attorney General is going to be the one that has the final say so in regards to if this needs to be something moved forward on, something to be pushed forward in regards to that appeal decision. And pretty much they're going to be the ones to determine if it's something that is of general importance. We have Title 10 here, establishment of community relations services or service, Section 1001. There is hereby established in and as part of the Department of Commerce a community relations service, hereinafter referred to as the service, which shall be headed by the director, who shall be appointed by the president with the advice and consent of the Senate for a term of 4 years. The director is authorized to appoint, subject to the civil service laws and regulations, such other personnel as may be necessary to enable the service to carry out its functions and duties, and to fix their compensation in accordance with the Classification Act of 1949 as amended. The director is further organized or further authorized to procure services as authorized by Section 15 of the Act of August 2nd, 1946, 60 Statute 810, 5 U.S. Code 55, but at rates for individuals not in excess of $75 per diem. So again, looks like just some more procedures, some more structure in regards to how they'll be compensating these individuals, who will be appointing these individuals in regards to being over the community service or community relations part of this act.
Keep in mind, they're talking about Department of Commerce. So they're talking about distribution. They're talking about business.
Great point.
Just for the people in that's listening.
So we have Section 106 of the Federal Executive Pay Act of 1956 as amended is further amended by adding the following clause thereto. Director, Community Relations Service, Section 1002, it shall be the function of the service to provide assistance to communities and persons therein in resolving disputes, disagreements, or difficulties relating to discriminatory practices based on race, color, or national origin, which impair the rights of persons in such communities under the Constitution of laws or laws of the United States, or which affect or may affect interstate commerce. The service may, offer its service in cases of such disputes, disagreements, or difficulties whenever, in its judgment, peaceable relations among the citizens of the community involved are threatened thereby, and it may offer its service either upon its own motion or upon the request of an appropriate state or local official or other interested person. So I'm gonna just pause right there. Again, just showing some more regulations, as you stated there, as you highlighted there, Chief Alligator, again, talking about business commerce, just knowing our history. And again, the laws, I would say this definitely didn't apply to our group, because as we know, what it says here in regards to disagreements from the community or anything that was threatening the community. So I'll read that again. The community involved is threatened thereby, and it may offer its services either upon its own motion or upon the request of an appropriate state or local official or other interested person. So I know we lost a lot of our businesses around this time as well. Again, that's threatening the community, but what actions were actually taking place by this government
Right.
to resolve any of those things?
Correct. I'll just build on that right there real quick. Looking back, because I wasn't born in 1960, I wasn't alive at this time when the United States government decided to do the 1964 Civil Rights Act, which is what we're reading. But we can look in 2023 and see that this was parameters put in place as they allowed people on planet Earth to come to North America and to become United States citizens. This is ultimately what they did. So when you think about the Vietnamese and the Asians and the Koreans coming into our neighborhoods, opening up these small businesses, this was allowing the equal playing field for them, because the United States government was under intense military occupation against us prior to 1964. So we're almost through with this act, and we have yet to see the word Negro, Black, or colored, Moor, Afro-American in this document. So what the United States government did was a bait and switch. It actually marketed to the world for people to come here and become United States citizens. And we, by default, became United States citizens because they now allowed the world, due to them removing intense military occupation against the Negro, Black, and colored.
That's a good point. I agree.
I'll continue here on section 1003. The service shall, whenever possible in performing its function, seek and utilize the cooperation of appropriate state or local, public or private agencies, the activities of all officers and employees of the service in providing conciliation, assistance shall be conducted in confidence and without publicity, and the service shall hold confidential any information acquired in the regular performance of its duties upon the understanding and that it would be so held. No officer or employee of the service shall engage in the performance of investigative or prosecuting functions of any department or agency in any litigation arising out of a dispute in which he acted on behalf of the service. Any officer or other employee of the service who shall make public in any manner whatever any information in violation of this subsection shall be deemed guilty of a misdemeanor, and upon conviction thereof shall be fined not more than $1,000 or imprisoned not more than 1 year. So basically, again, just talking about their procedures if any information were to be leaked and who can actually be held accountable for any actions. Section 1004, subject to the provisions of section 205 and 1003, the director shall, on or before January 31st of each year, submit to the Congress a report of the activities of the service during the preceding fiscal year. We have Title 11, titled Miscellaneous, Section 1101, in any proceeding for criminal contempt arising under Title 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7 of this act, the accused, upon demand, therefore, shall be entitled to a trial by jury, which shall conform as near as may be to the practice in criminal cases. Upon conviction, the accused shall not be fined more than 1,000 or imprisoned more than 6 months. So pretty much if they were to deem you guilty, actually convict you of anything regarding of any heinous acts listed in titles 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7, that you would be held accountable or liable up to $1,000, but no more than 6 months in prison. So that is basically the punishment they're putting on these individuals. This section shall not apply to contempts committed in this section shall not apply to contempts committed in the presence of the court or so near hereto as to obstruct the administration of justice, nor to the misbehavior, misconduct, or disobedience of any officer of the court in respect to writs, orders, or process of the court. No person shall be convicted of criminal contempt hereunder unless the act or omission constituting such contempt shall have been intentional as required in other cases of criminal contempt. Nor shall anything herein be construed to deprive courts of their power by civil contempt proceedings without a jury to secure compliance with or to prevent obstruction of, as distinguished from punishment for violations of any lawful writ, process, order, rule, decree, or command, the court in accordance with the prevailing usages of law and equity, including the power of detention. Section 1102, no person should be put twice in jeopardy under the laws of the United States for the same act or omission. For this reason, an acquittal or conviction in a prosecution for a specific crime under the laws of the United States shall bar a proceeding for criminal contempt, which is based upon the same act or omission and which arises under the provisions of this act. And an acquittal or conviction in a proceeding for criminal contempt, which arises under the provisions of this act, shall bar a prosecution for a specific crime under the laws of the United States based upon the same act or omission. So no double jeopardy is what they're saying in regards to that section there.
Yeah, scroll back up. We can't just run over this. This is very important as an American male. Scroll up a little bit more where it gets to the title. Boom. So Title 11, miscellaneous. Every American male needs to read this for themselves because it's talking about court proceedings from a criminal and a civil point of view. And we know that a lot of our men have experienced battles in court, whether it be on the civil side through child support, child custody situations, or on the criminal side through the war on drugs and the war on crime. So we definitely just, we gotta kind of peel this apart a little bit and understand what's going on here, because one of the things that stops us from competing with United States citizens, which are people coming from all around the world, going through the immigration process and becoming US citizens, is a lot of our men have felonies. So you have to understand how their court system works in order to allow yourself to compete with these Asians and other different immigrants coming from around the world who are becoming US citizens. So I definitely wanted to throw that in. That first section, this section shall not apply to contempts committed in the presence of the court. They're setting out parameters for how they're going to operate moving forward past 1964. So everything you just read, Chief Biko, was not being applied prior to. You understand what I'm saying? And even though it's widely known that, we've been over sentenced, wrongfully charged, we got a lot of people, that have done a lot of time or died in prison or doing time that are innocent, right? Well, before 1964 and before they even set up these parameters, it was worse then because we weren't citizens. So we'll build on that a little bit more at the end, but we're so brainwashed that when we tell ourselves, when you hear people say, well, we were free from the Emancipation Proclamation, if that was the case, there would be no reason for the 1964 Civil Rights Act. We really got to get that. You know, and that's partially through school. You know, we went, what, 7 years? What, 5 to 18? So what, 13 years of our life? You know, we let these people put this narrative in our minds, but you can't go, the reconstructed history doesn't add up. If we were free through the Emancipation Proclamation, then what the fuck is the purpose of the 1960 Civil Rights Acts? I'm gonna stop right there.
No, great points though. All great points. Because again, the narrative doesn't rhyme with the history nor the laws. And again, that's what we continue to highlight. None of the lies, the brainwashing, indoctrination that's being taught in these schools is actually rhyming when we look at history as well as these laws, and it speaks volumes of that. Like you said, none of this stuff was actually in place prior to 1964. All of these procedures, whether it's criminal or civil, whether it's a misdemeanor, you know, convictions, things of that nature, none of this stuff was in place prior to this.
And how do we know that? If we just, I'm sorry, Chief Quietwater.
No, I was just going to say, and the fact that this is just, it's not hidden. It's literally right there for us to just pull it. I know, I understand that we are in the information age now, but before, just wondering what type of means would our people would have had to just read the documents. It would have clicked for sure.
Right. And if we just add street smarts to it and just the time that you've been on planet Earth, and I'm going to refer to our community page, if this wasn't put in place for their criminal and civil court procedures, well, how we know this wasn't put in place prior to 1964 is you could hang an American male that looks like myself or Chief Biko, and you had hundreds of people at the murder scene of European descent, man, woman, and child. And there was nothing illegal about that. So even if somebody's listening to this video and they're thinking, no, this can't be true. Yeah, they can literally drag you out of jail because you were accused of harassing a European woman. They could bypass your day in court, snatch you out that jail, hang you in the town square, and burn you in front of 15,000 people. And there would be no crime scene, no arrest made for anybody that was there to accessories to murder. That's how we have to look at when we put those lynchings on our community page. What we're showing you is we were not citizens.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
That was lawful. All of that was lawful. Even something highlighted shooting 1866 Civil Rights Act. They was able to deputize bystanders in order to do that. So again, that's just another example of these procedures that we're reading now within this miscellaneous section, or this miscellaneous title wasn't actually within their actual laws. There wasn't a judicial branch enacting these laws type of thing. So no, that's a great point. I'll pick up on section 1103. Nothing in this act shall be construed to deny, impair, or otherwise affect any right or authority of the Attorney General or of the United States or any agency or officer thereof under existing law to institute or intervene in any action or proceeding. Section 1104. Nothing contained in any title of this act shall be construed as indicating an intent on the part of Congress to occupy the field in which any such title operates to the exclusion of state laws on the same subject matter, nor shall any provision of this act be construed as invalidating any provision of state law unless such provision is inconsistent with any of the purposes of this act or any provisions thereof. Now, what I just read there seems like as long as your state laws don't contradict any of the new regulations made federally within this document, you're going to be good to go. And I think that is very key to highlight because as we saw in those Jim Crow laws, they were very specific to just one group of people, the Negro, the Black. Again, this does not highlight, as far as we've seen thus far, the Negro, the Black, or the colored. Because I believe some of those Jim Crow laws, if I'm not mistaken, were still enacted up until, hell, what, the late 70s or so?
They're still on the books. They're just not exercising them. Yeah, and in the states where Jim Crow laws exist, including the state of Georgia, yeah, those states that had Jim Crow laws, those laws are still on the books.
And if they wanted to enforce them, they can. Basically, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that section you just read, 1104, that first sentence, nothing contained in any title of this act shall be construed as indicating an intent on the part of Congress to occupy the field in which any such title operates to the exclusion of state laws, still giving power to the state.
Correct.
Remember, the state was waging war on us and the federal government was waging war on us by benign and neglecting what the states were doing. So look at it like the federal government was the jab and the state was the right hand. We kept getting hit with the right hand at the state level because they had Jim Crow laws at the state level. The federal government is kind of sitting back, just acting like they don't know what's going on until civil unrest started taking place. And then these attorney generals at the federal level started realizing it's a public safety situation. The downside is I wasn't born in the 60s, right? The other side of that is people that were, my father in 1964, my father graduated high school in 65. And he always told me that all of my uncles prior to him, they got the day they graduated high school, they got their diploma and they got their draft card and they were shipping them to Vietnam. So you got that going on during this time too. You already got us under intense military occupation, AKA Jim Crow, and you've created a war in Vietnam. So now that you're making us US citizens, that's a way to eliminate a generation. But the people that were adults in the 60s, my mom was 10 years younger than my father. So in 64, my mom would have been like 11 or 12, right? So really, this is my grandparents. My grandparents were full adults when this would have been going on. And unfortunately, I don't know why our people don't talk about this era. It's like this era gets relegated to Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. Those are two religious men that were a part of different religious entities. That's not telling the whole story,
right,
of Jim Crow and everything that was going on, what we're reading. And I think that's the biggest disconnect between Generation X, my generation, and your generation, Chief Biko, is older generation, those of Dr. Claude Anderson age, everybody in their 60s and 70s right now, the fact that they don't talk about what happened. And I'll say this, I believe they don't talk about it because they really don't know, because they weren't citizens. So they don't know how the United States government operated.
Right, yeah.
We're getting converted. Start right there.
And they were basically just taking in what they were giving them. You know, this is for you guys. We're going to pass this, you know, specifically for you. And it was the total opposite of what they were being told.
Yeah. And I'll even go back to saying, like you said, they wasn't like, I'm not sure they, again, wasn't aware because, again, you're not citizens. So it's like, these are, again, state laws. This is the law of that state in which they resided in, that you couldn't, you know, those Jim Crow laws was actually, again, state laws. So you couldn't go into these sections or these areas. And if you did, then of course you were breaking the law underneath these states. But again, looking at it from the federal view as well, they didn't step in to make sure that them states didn't have those laws. So everybody was in on the military occupation of our people. And then as generations go by through the indoctrination through schooling, it's like, well, yeah, it's just, they point out, they highlight certain states. We'll highlight Mississippi. We'll highlight, you know, Georgia or Kentucky. But really, all of them damn states were able to do that because based off of this government and what we're seeing in this document, hey, y'all do what y'all do. Nothing in our federal laws will basically be contradicting what y'all got going on.
Right.
They try to make it seem like, okay, yeah, it's just a few states that were doing it, and then the federal government had to step in. Well, they stepped in, and we're seeing right now they didn't do anything when they did step in. So again, everybody was in on our military occupation. And I think that's something that gets lost as well through each generation, especially through schooling, because we'll look at it like, oh, you know, that's old and shit, but all it does is just change forms.
Right.
When you actually look at the document, you'll see like, no, all of these folks is in on this shit. From the federal government to the state, to the local municipalities, to your local police officers.
Correct. And we see it now with all the murders since Trayvon Martin. The only time the federal government is going to get involved is it had to be caught on video and so heinous that the public is in jeopardy. Like this document says, the attorney general has the discretion to say, you know what, I'm gonna have to go ahead and take this case on because this is going to cause public unrest. And so we see that most of the murders of our people, it stops at the superior court level within your state, meaning we never hear about it. You know what I'm saying? It's only due to Obama and the Blue Lives Matter that they started equipping these people with body cameras. Now we're getting high definition access to murders. If we just really stop and think about procedure, what we're seeing when they put it on TV, when these cases get picked up by the feds, like the Buffalo shooting, for example, how they quickly convicted him. Yeah, he had a video camera on showing why he killing people, so the Fed had to come in. But what about all the killings that happen when they're able to turn their body cam off and just kill you? We know they lying in their affidavits, what are AKA police reports. So at this point, we don't need them? We don't need police.
Right.
We can still operate with sheriffs, but you don't need police. Because it's been shown over and over again, they will lie on their police reports, and if there's no video there, they got the state backing them.
Right.
I.e. the most recent one with Michael Jenkins. That's getting no national coverage, no nothing. We highlighted that I think last week on our channel, and yeah, he survived. But when they actually interviewed his lawyer, Shabazz something, I forget the brother name, he basically stated that they had body camera footage. He said they was supposed to. So again, as Chief Alligator just highlighted, yeah, if you know it's nothing that is deemed, or if they can keep it surface level, make sure it doesn't blow up, make sure, like in this document stated, the Attorney General doesn't have to do any type of control, you know, some type of control in regards to suppressing any anger or outrage, then we good to go.
Right.
Sweep it under the rug and keep it moving. So no, yeah, this is definitely key to understand, especially this last title here.
I'll say one last thing before you start reading, finish off reading. And for women that are in the chat or that listen to this video, if you're not interested in American history or United States government history, do it for your sons. Because we have to know how this thing operates if you want your kids, if you want your sons to succeed. We cannot continue to send generations of our young men out here under the guise of racism. We got to get them to a level where they understand who they are on the land, all the positive that we've done on the land, but at the same time, what this government has done to their grandparents and their great-grandparents, so we can move accordingly and kind of walk away from what I call nigger behavior. You know, nigger culture is what's kind of like in the front right now through programming or TV. I'm old enough to remember growing up on the Cosby Channel. You know what I'm saying? Picture pages, shit like that. So I've seen the shift. You know, we've all lived lives. I've lived my life. You know, I'm not ignorant to nigger culture at all. But what I'm saying is the people that's in the back of the class smelling like a pound of weed, they now have the mic front and center it wasn't like that when I was young. You know what I'm saying? The gangster rap and everything was a little niche that was in the corner. We had R&B and this, we had more versatile to who we are. Right now, it's like the dumbest of our group are in front of the camera the most. So we're just trying to pour a little clean water in this glass. Like, okay, all right, we got to stop this shit because everybody not living in the land of niggerdom right now. Let me stop. Build on that.
Go ahead.
No, I totally agree as well. We have definitely let put the highlight on the most ignorant stuff in our culture to be on the front line, and what our kids and, younger generations are looking up to and following, which is just leading us to nowhere fast. So I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, I definitely second that, especially just in my time, again, being on this earth, seeing the shift in, almost 30 years now. So it's like, yeah, it's definitely a different vibration going on out there. Whole different mindset. Drug abuse culture is what I call it now. That's the new thing.
Yeah.
We ain't talking about selling it, we talking about using it. How you the dealer and the addict. Make it make sense.
Right.
So it's even crazier now. And they just got our people in a headlock with it. Every song you hear got somebody talking about lean or popping a pill, popping a perk, all kind of silly shit. Got us looking out, on Vlad TV and all these other, media outlets, tweaking, like showing rappers tweaking and shit. And it's just like, yeah, that's cool now. And again,
that's crazy.
These are the people that's in the forefront and they're supposed to represent us. And we not understanding that this is being promoted to the world. So when they're seeing this and then they see us get killed on camera, they're like, well, good riddance.
Mm-hmm.
He was a junkie anyway. Or, they're not providing any positive into this world anyway. So get rid of them. So yeah, it's definitely in need of a cleanse, a thorough rinsing to make sure we can get back to who we are. And definitely understanding these documents and understanding our history is going to help in that. I'll start off here on section 1105. They are hereby authorized to be appropriated such sums as are necessary to carry out the provisions of this act. Section 1106, if any provision of this act or the application thereof to any person or circumstances is held invalid, the remainder of the act and the application of the provision to other persons not similarly situated or other circumstances shall not be affected thereby. This is signed by the Speaker of the House of Representatives and President pro tempore of the Senate. This is July 2nd, 1964.
Can you make a note of that, Chief Quietwater, and for everybody in the chat as well? Make a note of that because this is our history. July 2nd, 1964 is when we were no longer under intense military occupation. That's a fact. On that day, the United States government, and can we go back to the top of this act and can you just cite to each title of the act? Now that we've finished the 1964 Civil Rights Act, there's 3 acts that took place in the 60s, 1964, 1965, 1968. Most of us have never heard that there were 3. We just read the first one. So what Chief Biko was going to do right now is just cite to each title, because this is what we should know by heart. Just like we know our favorite song, we should know this by heart, because prior to this, you were under intense military occupation, AKA segregated.
Correct. So that first title we got is Title 1, Voting Rights. The second title is going to be Injunctive Relief Against Discrimination in Places of Public Accommodation. So all of your public facilities, public parks, things of that nature.
Correct. One thing. I go back up to Title 1 real quick, or can you just do a Control F? And let's do a quick search on this document, because what we're showing the world is this document did not pertain to us.
Gotcha.
You stop sharing.
I'm gonna put it up on here. It don't allow me to Control F on that one, but I do got to pull it up here on the internet.
Gotcha.
And I actually drop this link for y'all in the chat too.
And this is important as we just finished out this document. So give yourself a pat on the back, because it did take us a couple of months to get through this whole thing. But now what we're showing the world and the United States government is you're full of shit, because on TV you claim that this document was for the Negro, but the word Negro, black, colored, Afro-American, Moor, any other name you can come up with is nowhere in this act. So it did not specifically pertain to us. So Negro, you just put in there, word Negro's not in this act. Black is not in this act. Colored, African-American is not. Tricolored. Color's not in this act. Go, do Moor. Moor is not in this act. Do Indian. Okay, let's read this sentence right here. Okay, employer, right. I remember we talked about this. The United States, a corporate, let me read that. Section 1, the United States, a corporation wholly owned by the government of the United States, an Indian tribe, or a state or political subdivision thereof. And that refers to employer. The only time the word Indian comes up is under the legal term of employer. But we can clearly see when you hear people like, I know we was on Copper Empress channel a couple of times, and she understands, and overstands that the United States government is a corporation. Here's proof of claim right here in the 1964 Civil Rights Act. It's telling you the United States, a corporation owned by the government of the United States. So they laid a fiction on top of the land.
Damn, right there.
For everybody that says that, and that's one thing that the Moors do have right. They do say that it's a corporation. So you can chew the meat and spit out the bone. But let's go ahead and cite to those other titles. But what we're showing people is the words Negro, black, and colored are nowhere in this document, but people of our family will swear you up and down that this act was for us. Can you see how we've been bait and switch?
So give me Title 1, speaking on the voting rights. Scroll down here to Title, oh, I think I jumped down too far. Title 2, injunctive relief against discrimination in places of public accommodation. Again, basically talking about public facilities, services, anything that should be made available to the public. No type of private entities. Scroll down here to Title 3.
So Title 2 was very long. Title 2 was very long. Go ahead.
Right, correct. So Title 3, we have desegregation of public facilities.
Oh, you had it right there. You had the titles pulled up on the other page.
Yeah. So I got Title 4 is desegregation of public education. And that'll be right here, desegregation of public education. Title 5, Commission on Civil Rights. Title 6 is non-discrimination in federally assisted programs. So anything that is given monetary value or any resources from the federal government. So that's your i.e. your churches, your nonprofit organizations.
Go deeper than that. Go deeper than that, because my generation, we all remember, if you born in the 70s, that's your food stamps and all of that. You didn't get that until the 1964 Civil Rights Act. We need to know that and connect that to our history. You didn't get government assistance, i.e. living in projects, getting food stamps. None of that shit was available to you until 1964. Keep going, Chief Biko.
We got Title 7, equal employment opportunity. This was a very long section. Title 8, we have registration and voting statistics. So again, they're just looking at the data in regards to those two things. Have Title IX, intervention and procedure after removal in civil rights cases.
Okay.
Title 10, we have establishment of community relations services or service. That should be coming up.
You said the establishment of community-related services. So prior to 1964, the federal government was not doing shit for the Negro.
At all.
Okay.
At all. And Title 11, lastly, is miscellaneous. And that is where we saw that none of the acts within this document will pretty much be held at the state level. Pretty much anything that is contrary at the state level, they don't have to worry about it.
So I'm gonna ask the chat something. Because I see you in there, Copper Empress. Shout out to you, salute. Hey, we got to come back on your channel too. If you cool with that, we got some things we need to rock out on and build on. If you cool with that, can you put a 1 in the chat if the 1964 Civil Rights Act pertained to the Negro, or can you put a 2 in the chat if the 1964 Civil Rights Act was for everybody around the world to become a United States citizen? And the United States government was basically proclaiming to the world, we're not going to hold you under intense military occupation like we did the Negro. So let me say it again, put a 1 in the chat if you think that the 1964 Civil Rights Act referred to the Negro, black and colored. 2 if it didn't. Because we need to know this as a group of people, because we got people getting in our face and telling us bold-faced lies when we're looking at public records. There's nothing against the law for reading public records. So we got some people saying, we got 1 saying 1, we got 1 saying 2. All right, so if you're saying 1, you're saying that the 1964 Civil Rights Act pertained to the Negro specifically. Let me be clear on that, because every time people get in front of the TV, they'll show you Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and the Black Panther Party, and they will make you believe that this document was for the Negro, even though the word Negro, black, and colored are nowhere on this document. And keep in mind that at the state level, states were very specific with Jim Crow laws using the words Negro, black, and colored. I hope I'm not confusing anybody with what I'm saying. What we're showing is at the state level, the states were specifically using Negro, black, and colored to identify our group. The federal government has never used the word Negro, black, and colored. You're not going to find it in their constitution. You're not going to find it in the Emancipation Proclamation. You're not going to find it in the 1866 Freedmen's Bureau Act. You're not going to find it in any acts coming out of this government. They have never used that term. That's what we're showing.
Correct. Now that's going to segue us right into the president during this time, or around this time. I think he would actually be the president after this act, stating that the Civil Rights Act of 1964 applied to the Negro, or he highlights the Negro, even though that the Negro was not highlighted within these documents.
And shout out to Mr. Duke. He hit it right on the head. Everybody capitalized. He's absolutely right. The United States government bait and switched us. What they did was they told the world, all right, we'll let melanated Asian people, melanated African people, yeah, you come over here. We're not going to do you like the Negro. We're not going to Jim Crow you. We'll give you access as a U.S. citizen. And then we just came in by default, which is what you built on last night with the Freedmen's Bureau Act. Same thing. That act didn't pertain to us. That bureau was not set up for us under their War Department.
Correct.
We keep falling for this. It's not even a trick. It's really, Chief Quietwater, you want to build on. It's almost like it's weak ass game. Like when you
really is. It's not a trick.
Yeah.
It really isn't. And for me to just go through this journey and learning all of this stuff is mind-boggling to me, because it's like, wow, I would have never really thought to read these acts or any of the other information until we actually got into it. But when I did and actually realized that the information is right in front of our face and it's in black and white. It's not in tricky legalese or anything like that. It's really easy to understand, and you don't have to dig so far to get the information. It's really not a trick.
Correct. Yeah, it's just again, just go back to us trying to attach ourselves to just any old goddamn thing, just anything.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
whether it be, you know, a freeman, a Moor, whether it's religion, a Christian, a Hebrew, like what is actually being written for your group of people. And again, there's nothing that is specific to our group of people underneath this government. So yeah, you may have some family members that did come up underneath that Freedmen's Bureau, but what benefit did it give them? Do they have their 40 acres?
Right.
That's the only question you ask. Yeah, you don't even go any further than that. Do you know somebody in your family that's got 40 acres under the Freedmen's Bureau Act? That's what because you claiming if you claiming to be freedmen, do you know somebody that's got 40 acres? And that's going to answer the question right there.
Yeah.
We got a little 3-minute video we want to show the chat and the world. Now that we've actually done the work and read this 1964 Civil Rights Act, we want to show you the power of military propaganda through the Jewish media. And we're going to show you Lyndon Baines Johnson in this 3-minute video lying his ass off talking about this act was for the Negro.
Even while President Johnson talked to Chancellor Klaus about America's responsibility in a time of crisis and challenge, word came from Capitol Hill that Congress had passed and sent to the White House the Civil Rights Act of 1968. Included in the measure was a landmark open housing bill, which, when fully effective, would forbid discrimination in approximately 80% of all housing offered for rent or for sale in the United States.
I do not exaggerate when I say that the proudest moments of my presidency have been times such as this, when I have signed into law the promises of a century. I shall never forget that it is more than 100 years ago when Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation. But it was a proclamation. It was not a fact. And in the Civil Rights Act of 1964, we affirmed through law that men equal under God are also equal when they seek a job, when they go to get a meal in a restaurant, or when they seek lodging for the night in any state in the Union. And now the Negro families no longer suffer the humiliation of being turned away because of their race. In the Civil Rights Act of 1965, we affirmed through law for every citizen in this land the most basic right of democracy, the right of a citizen to vote in an election in his country. In the 5 states where the act had its greater impact, Negro voter registration has already more than doubled. Now with this bill, the voice of justice speaks again. It proclaims that fair housing for all human beings who live in this country is now a part of the American way of life. We all know that the roots of injustice run deep, but violence cannot redress a solitary wrong or remedy a single unfairness. And we just must put our shoulders together and put a stop to both. The time is here. Action must be now.
Okay, we're going to walk through this again because our people don't believe when their own people study to show themselves approved. You just heard that President of the United States that signed the Civil Rights Act, Lyndon Baines Johnson, call us Negro. But there's no United States government document that uses the word Negro. That's what we're showing you. That's the power of TV. He can get in front of the TV and call you Negro, but never in writing did they use the word Negro. He also stated in the beginning of that video that 100 years ago, Abraham Lincoln did an emancipation, but it was not law. That's the same thing we're showing y'all. So we're gonna replay that so y'all can see. For some reason, we like Europeans to tell us. He telling you straight up. We never included you niggas. You want to hit them with it again, just so the people in the back that smell like a pound of weed want to wake, they bang on their desk and wake them up. Hey.
Let's go ahead, man. Hold on.
Hey, get that drool off the desk. Wake up. You need to hear this shit.
He said we gotta spin that back, DJ.
It hit pause right when he said.
Even while President Johnson talked to Chancellor Klaus.
All right.
I do not exaggerate when I say that the proudest moments of my presidency have been times such as this, when I have signed into law the promises of a century. I shall never forget that it is more than 100 years ago when Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation. But it was a proclamation. It was not a fact.
Put pause.
And in the Civil Rights Act.
Did you get that for the world and for people in the chat? He just told you an emancipation is not a fact. Why? Because that shit didn't come through their Congress. That's what we're telling you. Their Congress makes the law. They know what they're doing. They know it's so when niggas say we were free doing the emancipation, no, you weren't.
And he just said it out his mouth. Like literally to your face, and you still don't believe it.
He not only said that emancipation is not law, he then reiterated that we put in law, said, 1964, like 2 seconds afterward. So
Proclamation. But it was a proclamation. It was not a fact. And in the Civil Rights Act of 1964, we affirmed through law that
they affirmed through law, not a proclamation. Who makes the law?
Yeah, who makes the law?
Look,
Congress.
Congress, right. So this is the first time that they're going to affirm, and then he's going to use the word Negro, but the word Negro ain't in the act. So he ain't even do this shit for you. He did it for the world. And shout out to a Duke for putting that in the comment. That's what he did, a Duke. And for everybody that's in the chat and anybody that listened to this video, the United States government basically told the world, all right, if you send your people over here and they become US citizens, we ain't gonna fuck them over like we did the Negro with the Jim Crow laws. That's basically what they said in the 1964 Civil Rights Act.
Yeah. Pretty much. So again, just highlighting the like you stated before, this is just propaganda. They'll tell you one truth, spill out what the law is, and then highlight the group of people that they know they've been fucking over. Yet that group of people is not specified in that document. So he'll mention the 1964 Civil Rights Act and about, now people can go into these different hotels and stuff like that. Then he gonna mention now the Negro families don't have to be embarrassed when they're turned away. Like, huh? Well, you just point us out like that. Damn, you just gonna call us out like this.
Right.
You ain't gonna call us out in the actual document. Oh yeah. So
let's go a little deeper real quick. Since everybody in the chat is vibing with us right now. So what does that really mean about the Emancipation Proclamation? It's not about whether who was right or who was wrong, but based on what this president just said, what does that mean about the Emancipation Proclamation? It didn't do a damn thing for you because you was not a citizen of the United States government. Did not become a citizen until 1964. So the Civil Rebellion was not about you. That's what we've been showing. It was not about you. It was about the peasants and the slaves from Europe bucking against their own government. Here the president telling you that. What were we talking about?
Yeah, and shit, even we could play devil's advocate. Even if that proclamation was specific for us, he just said that shit don't hold no weight. So regardless of even if he was talking about you,
Right.
it ain't law. So fuck what the announcement say, fuck what the
Oh my
proclamation
God.
say. That shit don't mean nothing. I could say anything. And that's pretty much probably why they got his ass knocked off. Because he was talking out of pocket.
Mm.
So, you know, just keep that in mind as well. Just keep that in mind as well.
And I just want to build on that in addition to what you just said, Chief Biko. Let me give another shout out again to everybody that's allowed us to come on a platform and just share this information, because an informed group of people and an organized group of people are a people that the world will recognize. So shout out to Indigenous One, shout out to Aboriginal TV, shout out to your original Copper Empress, who were contrarian enough, open-minded enough, and had the ability to stand on the edge of the coin and at least let us come and just show these public documents so that we could start awakening our people and realizing the gig is up. If we fast forward to today, they're no longer using the word Negro. What are people using through TV propaganda today? People of color, Afro-American, Black. The president didn't even use those terms in 1964. So we're to the point now where you got to turn the damn TV off. It's brainwashing. Y'all want to build on that?
No, you're right. You're
You're
right.
absolutely right. Yeah.
At the point we don't even know who we supposed to be attaching ourselves to. It's like you just said, he highlighted Negro. Now we get to the point where Biden speak, he'll say African American, Black people, people of color, minority.
And they're trying to put us under the whole umbrella of people of color. That's what that's where we're proceeding to, pretty much, to just be in that larger group of minorities.
Mhm.
So what we're talking about is similar to what Malcolm X was talking about. This is us against the United States government. They've got all of our inventions held hostage. They've got countless of murders that have never been investigated, and the people that were that participated in them or actually done those acts against our people were never charged because we were never citizens. So what we're doing is we're doing what the quote unquote Congressional Grant Caucus is supposed to be doing. You're supposed to have a quote unquote reparations hearing for whatever the House bill is to study it. We've already studied it. Not only have we studied it, we're challenging any public servant to come and have an intellectual conversation about it so that we can show you that you haven't studied to show yourself approved, but you claim to be serving the public. That's what time it is. Y'all never thought that somebody would take the time to sit down and actually figure out what the fuck is going on. And for those fake 5 civilized tribes that's sitting over there in Oklahoma, why you want to live a lie? We showing you every week that it's people that look like us that invented all these things that the world benefit from. Why you want to be us so bad? Europeans, why do you claim to be American when you're European? Why are you afraid to find out where your family is in Europe? Why you want to tell us that we the slave when in reality, we know where our bloodline go to. That shit go back to Georgia, Florida, South Carolina, Tennessee, Arkansas. You don't know who your great-grandparents are. So why do you want to be us? I ain't being harsh about it. I ain't being rude about it, but we're just asking questions. Why are you imposing your history on us, trying to make it seem like we the slave? When we got all this proof of claim of what we've done, but when we look at your proof of claim, we see you were the one packed on ships. And we could all get along. But this idea that you're gonna program our kids that they weren't shit and they were slaves and this, that, and the third, and that's just not the truth. Yeah. You can call it critical race theory or whatever you want. What we're saying is come to the table. You claim you even want to be us with the Confederacy. Like, why? Like, It's like, why you want to be us so bad? Maybe because we just that great.
It come from nothing, man. When you come from nothing, you'll try to be anything. And just kind of highlight that, we gotta show them pictures that I once you said that, they the ones packed on the boats. Go ahead and show this one.
Yeah, why are you imposing? This is your history. And again, history is history. But the fact that you're lying about who you are and where you descend from. Go back one page, bro. Go back to that first one. The fact of the matter is, those people in this image, those are somebody's grandparents today that are what you call white. And now you got people who look like us calling this group of people supreme. How is there a term called white supremacy? I've never heard that growing up. In the 80s, in the 90s, early 2000s, never heard the term white supremacy. That's a new term. How are you telling me that these people are supreme when we're showing proof of claim that we are the gods? These people do not know who their family members were in Europe. These people were homeless in Europe. These people were in prison in Europe. That's who they populated that's who they populated North America with. Let me be correct with that. The land is North America. The corporate fictions that they've created on the land, North America, is Canada and the United States. Let's be clear. And 5 fake civilized tribes. The land is North America. The Europeans created fake corporations called Canada in the United States government and 5 civilized tribes. So we got Canada, a corporate fiction. The United States government is a corporate fiction. The 5 civilized tribes are corporate fictions. And then you got the government of Mexico. You got 8 governments in North America. But you'll brainwash us through school like the United States is the whole damn landmass.
This is their ass, man. Stacked on top of each other.
And it's a harsh reality. And I'm going to pose a question to the world and to everybody in the chat. The next time you get into a debate with the European, ask them some questions. Where's your family from in Europe? They can't answer. So you can't play victim when you've been lying about us since integration, right? Then as soon as we hold the truth up, you want to talk about how your kids are going to feel. Fuck how my kids feel. How you think I felt in school? Why do you think I skipped that class? See, we don't want to have that conversation.
It was bullshit.
Yeah, as soon as they played Mississippi Burning, when I was in school in the early 90s. We was off the motherfucking chain. When they played Mississippi Burning, no, straight up. You know, I came up in South Florida, bro, so that's a different breed. If you grew up fast down there, let's be clear. When they played Mississippi Burning, they had to put every white boy on the bus and send them home early. We came out that class on fire because our spirit was rebelling against what they were trying to program us with. You see what I'm saying? We didn't know it. Looking back, we were young, but that's what happened. Asses started getting whooped. Soon as he turned that tape off, we threw chairs at that bitch and everything.
He said, damn, y'all think this year? Nah, fuck out of here.
And people that's in my generation know, they started editing those books. They started taking them dogs attack out them books. Why? Because people were getting their ass whooped after class. Let's have that conversation.
Right.
Am I the only one that can talk about this? I see first talk about big fat. Yeah, I ain't the only one. Shit, man. They had to put them people on the bus early, man. How you gonna sit up here and show me the Ku Klux Klan and all these lynchings and shit and think it ain't gonna be on? Yeah, the whole baseball team. Yeah, y'all got to go home early today.
Hey, you said the baseball team. You know what team was playing and shit? That's funny as hell. The baseball team. Nah, so, it wasn't that many around my school. So shit, they didn't play nothing like that.
Did they show those videos when you were in school? Like, did they show you the dogs attack? Yeah, see, I remember vividly, bro. I was in the 10th grade when African American became a study course. I was in the 10th grade. That was around the same time that Spike Lee dropped the Malcolm X movie. So, you know, we had the little Malcolm X medallion on and shit like that, you know, but people from my generation, bro, we never called each other black when we were growing up. The only person that was called black was that nigga that had the nickname in the hood that was black. That's the only person that was called black. But Afro-American, when that course came in, we were like that pilot class, if you will, that generation. If you was in high school in the early 90s, y'all remember they were testing it on us. And they had to take that dog and them lynchings and shit, they had to take that out the books because we were whooping ass. We ain't gonna even mention Rodney King. When Rodney King popped off, it was on.
Yeah.
It was on. It was on site. Yeah, let's talk about it. Shit.
About that. We is no longer doing this shit. We'll change the curriculum immediately.
Bro, I can't look. No disrespect, you know, I never bring up age, right? Because you got to study to show yourself approved. But let's be clear. Man, when that Rodney King shit played, bro, it erupted. Everywhere, bro. Asses were getting whooped. It wasn't just in California, bro. Asses were getting whooped, bro. So how we got to this point, you know what I'm saying? That's part of the reason why I do what I do now, bro. It's like, how do we get to the point where this shit become normal?
Yeah.
Who old enough to remember what's going on in the early 90s? You know what I'm saying?
I definitely remember for sure.
Shit.
Different times, man. Y'all got that. Look, I was
Man, you got me perspirating over here. That shit.
Hey, you got that preacher towel for a reason today.
I'm saying, but see, if we're gonna talk about it, let me go ahead and because we done finished this document, I'm gonna say this that a lot of people don't never want to say about our generation, man. Gangster rap started in the early 90s, but it wasn't gangster rap at that time. It was reality rap. So you got NWA, you got Public Enemy, you got all of this. We listening to these young men and we in high school and they putting that spirit in us. And then, you know, you put that Rodney King video out there, it was on, bro. It
makes sense too, though. It makes sense why the music changed. You know what I'm saying? What was now what can be mainstream. They don't talk about shit like that.
Yeah, and then if we're gonna just be real clear about it, you know, my generation, we brought the weed back. The weed was like the 70s, you feel me? And so then I guess through the 80s, like when I was in high school, bro, like that's when Snoop, everybody was coming out. And so weed was starting to become a thing amongst us again. Back then it was quarts and 40 ounces of beer and all of that, you know, so now it's normal for your generation to hear this music on the radio. I remember a time when there was no rap music on the radio. I remember a time when we got out of school, bro, we went straight to the TV to watch Yo MTV Raps because that's when we could see our people. It wasn't what it is now. Like it was segregated. VH1 wasn't playing rap music. MTV, if you weren't catching Yo MTV Raps, you wasn't seeing no rap music. So I've lived through this, you know, so now we to the point where this music, I remember when, and tell me in the chat if I'm lying, most of us would deny that we listened to rap music in the 90s, in the early 2000s. There was a division amongst us. Everybody didn't listen to rap music. They thought, they looked at me or people like me, like, we were off the chain if we listened to rap music because there was an internal battle going on. Looking back, our parents were kind of right, you know, in the sense that, you know, now we don't have R&B, we don't have disco funk, we don't have slow jams. You know what I'm saying? Like there was a balance back then. You know what I'm saying? When you with your girl or whatever, you know, you play your R. Kelly, your Jodeci, your Boys II Men. You know what I'm saying? Your OJs, your Four Tops, your Marvin Gaye. You know, we grew up on that.
Your eyes, brothers.
Yeah, everything thugged out now. It's like, damn, there's no balance to this shit.
You got Future making love songs. You know what I'm saying? You got Future making love songs. Shit. Maybe they're gonna have Rich Chick still go crazy, but yeah, it's different, man. It's different.
we've digressed, you know, and even the cats that were talking reality rap back then, your Tupac, you know, those brothers were sophisticated and those brothers were educating us through the music. You know, Tupac was putting Dolores Tucker on front stage when Joe Biden came out with the 94 crack bill. I'm in high school. I'm 11th grade. You know, Ice Cube and all them were talking about that. So we was up on politics even in high school through the rap music.
See, there was actually knowledge to you.
Yeah, but that's not being talked about. See, no, we weren't getting that through R&B. We were getting that through reality rap. You know, Ice Cube was very political, you know, back then when he first separated from NWA. Tupac was highly political. There's no rapper now that's political. Outkast was highly political. You know, operating. Yeah. Do you know what the acronym of Outkast stand for?
You said operating. Oh, damn, I remember I looked it up, but I forgot. Operating under
the crooked American system for too long. Yeah. So we understood when we were listening to certain groups that came out, what the message was about, what time it was. That genre of rap is gone now.
Yeah,
everything's violence now. And I'm gonna say everything is violence because they're looking at our age group. They're looking at we're the parents. They're looking at us and they're not seeing us push back against the system. So the youth now are lashing out. They're lashing out because they see us taking defeats in the public. So what are they doing? They're escaping through drug abuse and all the music has become violent.
Yeah.
So everything's about spinning the block, but it's like we're eating ourselves when they really want to take that energy out on the people that's really doing it to us, but they don't see their parents doing nothing.
So it's like, well, shit, I ain't getting in trouble when I do it to myself, but yeah, facts. Damn, yeah.
What the chat on? If they feel, are they feeling it?
They rocking with your ass. Look, I think Confederacy said keep sweat when you was bringing up the old jam.
Oh man, come on, hey.
That's too funny.
Look, I'm gonna show my age now. Do y'all remember when we used to go to the club? The club used to slow it down for an hour, and that was your time to get with whatever chick you wanted to meet in the club. When the DJ slowed that bitch down, and you heard, "Hey, Mr. DJ, come on," or you heard "Keep Sweat" right in the wrong way. That's when you get your slow jam on and get that phone number. Can anybody feel me? And there's no disrespect to this generation, but there's no slow jam era in the club no more. That's gone.
Bro, I be telling folks now that like they still playing the shit from, like you said, the 90s, early 2000s. As far as slow jams, that is going to be anything as far as a section or a segment played. And hell, they ain't even no clubs no more. It's all lounges and shit. So even shit like that, man, you got to go to like specific places. At least here, you know, in Atlanta, it's different, man. But yeah, folks don't do nothing. People just look at each other.
Who was that? Legend of Naga Charlie. He said, I remember Michael Jackson. Come on, dog. I remember Michael Jackson video came on like a moving presentation. Man, everybody who's old enough, I've watched this, Chief Biko. Do y'all remember, where were you when Thriller came out? Everybody knows where they were when Thriller came out. You was at that family member house that had cable, because everybody didn't have cable back then, Chief Biko.
Yeah.
Lived through some transitions in this bit. I was at my aunt's house, bro. My aunt had cable. The whole family was at my aunt's house, and you watched the first time Thriller aired, bro. The world stopped when Michael Jackson dropped the video.
Oh, hell yeah.
And it was like a serious, it was like a movie. It was like a movie.
And everything.
Food. I mean, it was literally like a premiere, a for real premiere.
I want to know how I know that's true. Because when Michael Jackson dropped, it wasn't Remember the Time, because I think I was still too young for that, but it was another one he came out, and it was more like a scary movie thing. I don't know.
Thriller.
It wasn't Thriller though, because I was born, but I remember everybody like, Michael Jackson got another one coming out, and everybody rushing home to go and watch it. Michael Jackson, the goddamn musician? What, he got a movie coming out? Like, it was mind-boggling to me. I'm like, y'all really finna, like, my mom over there, dad down, everybody downstairs. I'm like, oh, the music video? Like, I've only felt that way one time, and that was for like a Lil Jon video. I think it was like, what you gonna do? But I know there ain't nothing like that. But I remember like waiting
Nah, what we not gonna do, no disrespect to people, what we not gonna do is
Well, John had the A going crazy, man.
we not Michael Jackson is no comparison to that man.
Of
And I'm
course
not
not.
being
Of course
biased
not. Of
because
course.
I grew up in his era, but I'm old enough to remember third grade when that goddamn Thriller came out. If you didn't have the jacket, you had that S curl. Y'all that in the chat. Who had an S curl? Who had a motherfucking S curl because of Michael Jackson? Goddamn it!
Hey, see, quiet water. That's why his hair like it is now, putting all them damn chemicals in his head.
Exactly.
Man. Everything.
Right. Chief Quiet Water. I'm gonna put you on Front Street. Did you have a S curl or a Jerry curl growing up?
I had a Jerry curl actually. That was the worst year of my entire life in elementary school.
And why did you have one?
Well, because mine, it was by force. It was I had a bad experience.
The influence of Michael Jackson.
Well, no, mine wasn't for that. It was different, I think, for boys.
Shit, niggas wore you if you wore a Jerry curl, you wore a Jerry curl because Mike was wearing a Jerry curl.
No, not for me.
My
edges came out.
My edges got lost. My edges was gone. Woke up the next morning. Ooh.
They had that white cream in your head. That bitch go to burning. You know what I'm saying? They be like, leave it in. And you crying and shit. You try. Hey, and you want your curls to be tight like Mike and shit. You all in the mirror, got the bag on your head at night.
Yeah, I was going through hell, man, for that.
Oh my gosh.
What a Duke say, I had a Jerry curl, but it was a style. But yeah, it was, bro. Mike brought that. I think Ice Cube was the last one to let it go.
Yeah.
Empress Vicky J said the S curl and the glove. So what was the difference between the S curl and the Jerry curl?
The S curl, okay, so when you got your Jerry curl, y'all had the little pink rollers and all of that going on. The S curl was a little kit we could buy from the little. I'm using the word black.
Okay.
Buy from the little black hair salon store before. Damn, now you taking me back. Before the Asians were selling our products, it was a black store.
Yeah.
You would go to that black store, get your little S curl kit. You know what I'm saying?
That is too funny.
And then when we left the S curl stage, we went right back to that same black hair care product store and we started getting the Murrays, and that's when we started wearing the waves.
Waves, yeah.
Anybody feel me on that? Who know about the Murray's grease with the hot rag? You know what I'm saying? To get overnight.
He teaching you something tonight, Chief Biko. He letting his age show.
Next Sunday, y'all gonna catch my ass with the goddamn S curl instead of
No, but that was a trend that my mama had one, my aunt had, like I don't think my cousin had, but most of the women in my family, yeah, you were rocking the Jerry curl. Yeah. Yeah. And he say, what? In the wire, the Jerry curl back. So, but what I was bringing Michael up because what we were watching was excellence back then, and we didn't even realize it. You know what I'm saying? We were watching somebody who looked like us, who was the best to ever do it, ever. You know? Yeah. Now we don't see that positive image about us anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like everything we've done, the standard has been set so high when we do it. I remember disconnecting from Michael Jackson after the I'm Bad album. Yeah, after I'm Bad, when he started doing more plastic surgery, that's when I was like, all right, I can't. It was just something spiritually. I was like, I still rock with him, but I wasn't buying the music anymore.
Gotcha.
You see what I'm saying? Because we old enough to remember it went from tapes. You know what I'm saying? You had to, we had to do the tapes back in the day. Then it went.
Oh yeah, the cassette tapes.
Yeah, you had to put the tape in the top of your tape. You know what I'm saying? So you could record. You know, you got your little 30 minutes of rap music late night, and you had to record your favorite song if you could catch it right in time.
To make a whole tape.
Burning shit. See, burning CDs era. That's me.
And me and Chief Quietwater were just reminiscing on this just to show you our age and how much technology has changed. We are old enough to remember the rotary phone.
Yeah.
Yeah. You had the rotary phone, then it went to the phone with the long ass cord that you could walk into the living room with it. You had the operator, and I actually dialed 411 last night. 411 no longer exists. So that shows you how long I've lived. We used to be able to dial 411
And
get a
ask
phone number.
anything really. What time a store closed, the weather, the time. That was our Google back then.
About to say, now that's your smartphone, everything. Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So hold on,
Everything is available.
they only had the, I don't even know if that's 411, it may be 511. When you driving on the interstate and they be like, look up like traffic information. Is it 511?
That's something different. That is 511 for the Highway State Patrol. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Mhm.
we've lived long enough. You had to dial 0 for the operator. It went from the long phone with the cord to the cordless phone. Caller ID didn't come in, goddamn it, till what?
2000?
The late 90s, early 2000s?
I remember using the white yellow pages, big ass book. That shit was the heaviest book.
Mhm.
I used to curl with them damn books.
And you was the shit if you had three-way. Look, if you had three-way, you was the shit back then, you know what I'm saying? Because you could plug in and get a conference call going on.
Get a conference call.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, so we just
hilarious.
as we close that out. But next week, y'all, we're gonna get into that 1965 Civil Rights Act.
Yes, sir.
We're gonna keep walking it down, man, and we just gonna keep untying all these lies, because that's basically what it is. But we owe it to our children, everybody that can relate to what I was just building on, man. Our kids don't know nothing about the Civil Rights Act era.
Yeah.
We know more now than they'll ever know. So we got to pass this information on and make it public, because our parents didn't talk about it. One last thing, Chief Pico. Can you pull up when was Malcolm X assassinated? Because each one of these acts, I think the 1965 and 68 act, I believe those two acts came after they assassinated Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. So it was only after civil unrest that the government came out with these civil rights acts. But what we know now is they still weren't specific to us, even after they killed the people who were advocating for us. And Duke say laughter good for the soul. Yeah, it is.
No, facts. So we got Malcolm X, February 21st, 1965.
1965 is when he was assassinated.
Yeah, so that might be with the voting, because there was the voting rights coming in 65. And
yeah, so
we got Martin, April 4th, 1968.
So I think the next act that we read, the 1965 act, I believe that act comes
after this.
After X was killed. And what we're doing is just putting the pieces of the history together that nobody's going to talk about in mainstream media for us. So we got to make it make sense. So when we having conversations, you know, with our people, we can be accurate with the information. Because if we accurate with the information, what it does is it makes the house niggas amongst us, it's gonna make them step their game up.
Yeah. Shoot, just to make sure, confirming that, 60, so he died early 65, and the Voting Rights Act came out or was published August of that same year. So after Malcolm was assassinated.
So Malcolm was assassinated before or after?
Before. Because he died 65, February of 65. So right when turn of the year, and then August 65 Voting Act came and was published.
Okay. And so we can tie that in, because you got to look at all the riots that were going on when Malcolm X got killed. So going back to that Attorney General from the 64 Civil Rights Act, of course, the Attorney Generals would deem it a public safety matter once our grandparents started turning up. And they're like, all right, we got to pacify these Negroes. And now what we're doing is realizing what our grandparents didn't understand back then is they lied. They said one thing on TV and wrote something else in writing.
And just another indicator. Yeah, definitely appreciate y'all rocking out with us this Sunday. Good close and good little memory going down memory lane there. But definitely, yeah, shout out to everybody in the chat. We done completed another document. So next week we'll be jumping in at what 1965 Voting Rights Act. Go ahead and continue down this timeline, man, of our history. Still trying to see where we come up underneath this government. Because again, nothing was specified in that last document. So definitely shout out to everybody. Chief Quietwater, you got any closing thoughts?
No, I just want to thank everybody that's been following us through this information. And, you know, we are all learning together because like I said, it's a lot of things that I didn't know from the beginning up to this point. And so it has definitely been a positive journey just to learn all of this information. And we just need to continue to spread it. And let's just continue to be positive and move forward.
Yep, good bill. We kind of went down, kind of started reminiscing of the 90s, you know what I'm saying? One time for the 90s, you know, bring that back. But definitely Copper Empress, if you could hit up Chief Biko, when, you know, we definitely got to do some more bills as we get through this Civil Rights Act. We just wanted to push through these documents with you, but you know, we gotta, you know, we gotta cook this thing up. So if you cool with it, you know, reach out to Chief Biko, man, so we can get in our bag on this civil rights era, because it's been a whole lot of lies going on.